Lena walked along the crowded street, her small bag bouncing against her side. The evening air was cool, but the city felt heavy with noise, lights, and movement. She had just finished her second job of the day, a long shift at a small bakery, and her feet ached as they carried her toward the tiny room she rented on the edge of town. Every step reminded her of how tired she was and how little she had. But she kept walking, thinking about the rice and vegetables she would cook tonight. It was a simple meal, but it was all she could afford. As she turned the corner, something caught her eye on the pavement. A small leather object lay near a trash bin, slightly hidden under a newspaper. She bent down and picked it up carefully. It was a wallet. The leather was soft and expensive looking, and it had a monogram stamped into it. Lena frowned. She had never seen a wallet like this before, and her heart raced a little. She opened it quickly, just to see if there was an ID. Her hands shook slightly. Inside, she saw crisp bills stacked neatly and several credit cards. There was also a card with a name she recognized from newspapers and television. The name read, Daniel Royce. Her heart skipped. Daniel Royce was one of the richest people in the city, maybe even the country. She knew of his luxury cars, big house, and business empire. She looked at the money again. Her stomach twisted. She had been struggling for so long, and seeing that much money felt like a temptation. For a moment, she thought about keeping it. She could pay off her small debts, buy food, maybe even fix the old heater in her room. But the thought did not last. She closed the wallet carefully and shook her head. She could not take something that belonged to someone else. She had learned from her parents that honesty was more important than money, no matter how tempting it could be. The streets were busy. People hurried past her, their faces lost in their phones or in their own worries. Lena felt a little invisible in the crowd, yet the wallet in her hand made her feel strangely responsible. She could not just leave it there. She needed to find its owner, even if it was difficult. Even if it was Daniel Royce, a man who lived in a world completely different from hers, she had to try. Her conscience would not allow her to do otherwise. Lena started walking toward the center of the city, where she knew the big offices and business towers stood. Her bag felt heavier than usual, as if it carried not only her clothes and books, but also the weight of this important decision. She passed by restaurants with bright lights, people laughing and eating, some even throwing coins on street performers. And all the while she clutched the wallet tightly, afraid someone might snatch it from her. She had no plan yet, but she hoped the wallet's owner would have some way to contact him, or that she could leave it in a safe place. Her legs ached, and her stomach growled faintly. She had not eaten since morning, yet she pushed forward. The thought of returning the wallet gave her a strange energy. She imagined Daniel Royce receiving it back, perhaps worried about losing it. Maybe he would be angry, or maybe he would be grateful. She did not know what to expect, but the idea of doing the right thing made her feel lighter than the fatigue in her body. As she walked, she remembered her own life, small and difficult as it was. She had no family left, except a grandmother who lived in another town. She worked every day just to pay rent, buy food, and keep herself alive. Most people in her neighborhood barely looked at her when she passed. Some even laughed at her old clothes or the small bag she carried. Yet here she was, holding something worth more than she could imagine. And she was determined not to let greed control her. By the time she reached the tall glass buildings of the city center, the sun had set and the streetlights were glowing. The city felt alive and different from the quiet alley she was used to. She walked slowly, looking at the names on the doors of the office buildings. Security guards stood at some entrances, checking IDs and badges. She paused in front of one building, unsure which way to go. She had seen Daniel Royce's name in magazines, but she had never been inside a building like this. Taking a deep breath, she approached the entrance. The guards looked down at her with mild curiosity. "Can I help you?" one of them asked. Her heart raced. She almost considered turning back, but she held the wallet in front of her and said, I found this. It belongs to Daniel Royce. I want to return it." The guard raised an eyebrow and chuckled softly. "Do you know who he is?" he asked. Lena nodded nervously. "Yes, but it's his wallet. I found it, and I want to give it back." He looked at her clothes, the bag slung over her shoulder, and the tiredness in her eyes. He shook his head. "You can't just come in like that. Do you have an appointment?" She shook her head. She had never needed an appointment in her life to meet someone before, but this was different. This was the world of people with money and power, a world she had never entered. For a moment, she felt like giving up. Her hands trembled, and she hugged the wallet close. But then she remembered why she was here. She thought of her parents' words. Honesty and courage matter more than anything. She squared her shoulders and said softly but firmly, "I just want to return this. Please." The guard looked at her, then glanced at the lobby behind him. After a pause, he sighed. "Wait here." He walked inside and returned with a young woman who seemed to be a receptionist. Lena felt nervous as the receptionist studied her face and then the wallet. "You found this?" she asked. Lena nodded. "Yes, I found it on the street. I want to return it to Mr. Royce." The receptionist exchanged a quick glance with the guard and then nodded. "Come in. I'll see if someone can take it." For the first time in hours, Lena felt a spark of relief. She stepped inside, her shoes echoing on the polished floor. Everything was so shiny and different from her small world. The air smelled faintly of perfume and cleaning products. She felt a little out of place, but she focused on her goal. She wanted to do the right thing, and she would not let fear stop her. They led her to a quiet office at the end of a long hallway. Lena waited outside, her heart thumping. She could hear muffled voices inside, laughter, and typing on keyboards. Every sound made her more anxious. She kept the wallet close, brushing her fingers over the soft leather. She thought about what she might say when she met Mr. Royce. Should she apologize for bothering him? Should she just hand it over quietly? She was not sure what the right words were, but she knew honesty would guide her. After a few minutes, the receptionist returned. "He will see you now," she said. Lena took a deep breath and stepped into the office. Inside, a man sat behind a large desk, papers scattered around, a phone resting to one side. He looked up, surprised, and for a moment, his eyes widened as they fell on the wallet in her hands. Lena felt nervous, but forced herself to speak. "Mr. Royce, I found your wallet on the street. I wanted to return it to you." She extended her hands toward him, and he took it slowly, examining it. Lena's eyes followed his movements. She could see the relief on his face when he realized nothing was missing. He looked at her and said softly, almost in disbelief, "You returned it?" Lena nodded, feeling a little shy. "Yes, sir. I couldn't take it. It's yours." He studied her for a moment, as if trying to understand how someone with so little had done something so honest. Lena looked down, unsure what to say next. She had never been in a place like this, facing someone so important. But she felt a strange pride. She had done the right thing. She had stayed true to herself. Mr. Royce smiled faintly and said, "Thank you." His voice was calm, but there was something deeper in his eyes, something Lena could not yet understand. She nodded politely and turned to leave, her heart still racing, the city feeling different than when she entered. She had faced a challenge, a world far from her own, and she had acted with honesty. For Lena, that was more than enough. Even in her small, difficult life, She had proved to herself that doing the right thing mattered above all else. After Lena left the office, she felt a mixture of relief and nervousness. Her heart still raced from meeting Daniel Royce, but she could not stop thinking about what had just happened. She walked slowly back through the polished hallways, noticing every detail for the first time. The floors shined, and the walls were decorated with expensive paintings. Employees hurried past, speaking on phones and typing on keyboards. Everything was fast and precise, unlike the small bakery she worked in or the quiet streets she walked every day. Lena felt out of place, yet she held her head high, proud that she had returned the wallet honestly. Outside, the city had grown darker, and the neon signs cast colorful lights across the streets. Lena took a deep breath of the cool evening air. She wanted to go home, but something in her mind kept tugging at her. She realized she had only returned the wallet and not yet spoken much with the man himself. She wondered if he had really appreciated her honesty, or if he had been too busy to notice. Lena had always thought honesty was important, but in her life it often went unnoticed. She hoped this time would be different. The next day, Lena could not focus on her work. She kept thinking about Daniel Royce and the wallet. At the bakery, the flour dusted the air around her, and the smell of fresh bread filled the small room, but her mind was elsewhere. She sliced dough mechanically, feeling the motions, but not the joy of her craft. Her coworkers chatted and laughed, but Lena stayed quiet. Lost in thought. Returning the wallet had been the right thing, but she worried about what would happen next. Would he ignore her? Would she ever hear from him again? Later in the afternoon, Lena decided to take a walk to clear her mind. She wandered through the crowded streets, watching people shop and talk on their phones, the sounds of car horns mixing with street musicians' tunes. As she walked, she realized something important. She had done what few people would have done. The wallet could have been a temptation, yet she had chosen honesty. The thought brought a small smile to her face. Despite her tiredness and the struggles of her life, she had acted with integrity, and that was something she could hold on to. Meanwhile, inside Daniel Royce's office, the story of the wallet was spreading. The assistant had told him about the girl who had returned it, and he could not stop thinking about her. He remembered her eyes, honest and nervous, and the way she had held out the wallet without hesitation. In a world where money and power often blurred the lines of right and wrong, this girl had done something simple yet extraordinary. He felt a mix of surprise and admiration. How could someone with so little show such honesty? He found himself wanting to meet her again, to understand the person behind this act. Back on the streets, Lena stopped at a small park to rest. She sat on a bench, watching children play and pigeons hop across the pavement. Her stomach rumbled, reminding her she had skipped lunch to focus on her errands. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small sandwich she had packed that morning. As she ate slowly, she thought about her life. Every day was a struggle, but she had moments like this, quiet and reflective, where she could feel pride in herself. Returning the wallet had been one of those moments. It reminded her that even in a world that often felt harsh and unfair, she could still make a difference in her own way. Suddenly, her phone rang. Lena jumped slightly, not expecting any calls. The screen showed an unknown number, but something inside her told her to answer. She pressed the green button. On the other side, a calm voice said, "Hello, is this Lena? This is Daniel Royce's assistant. Mr. Royce would like to see you again. Can you come to the office tomorrow morning?" Lena's heart leapt. She had not expected this. She nodded, even though the assistant could not see her, and said, "Yes, I can come." After hanging up, she sat for a moment, her mind racing. She wondered what Mr. Royce wanted to see her for. Was he angry? Was he going to reward her? She did not know, but she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The next morning, Lena woke up earlier than usual. She had to prepare herself, not just in appearance but in courage. She put on her best clothes, the ones she had saved for special occasions, and tied her hair neatly. She checked her bag to make sure she had nothing that would make her feel out of place. The city streets were busier than the day before, filled with people rushing to work. Lena walked quickly, her heart pounding with each step. The office building loomed ahead, glass reflecting the early sunlight. She took a deep breath and entered, hoping her nerves would not betray her. Inside, the receptionist greeted her warmly, recognizing her from the previous day. Lena followed her through the long hallways, trying to calm her racing thoughts. When she entered the office, Daniel Royce was already there, waiting. He stood up as she entered, a small smile on his face. Lena felt a mix of respect and curiosity. She could tell he was not just a businessman focused on money. There was something deeper in his eyes, something she could not quite understand yet. He gestured for her to sit and said, "Thank you for coming again. I wanted to speak with you personally." Lena nodded, still holding on to her small bag. She was not used to being in a place like this, yet she felt a strange sense of confidence. Returning the wallet had been the right thing, and now she had a chance to show that courage and honesty mattered. She listened carefully as he spoke, noting the sincerity in his tone. It was unusual for someone in his position to take time for a person like her, and it made her heart warm. Daniel picked up the wallet from his desk, examining it again. "When you returned this, I was surprised," he said softly. "Most people would not have cared or might have taken something for themselves. But you did the right thing." Lena felt a blush rise on her cheeks. She looked down, shy and unsure what to say. She had always believed in doing what was right, but hearing it from someone like him made her feel proud. He continued, "I want to understand you better. How you think, and why you acted with honesty when no one would have blamed you for keeping it." Lena listened closely, realizing this was a moment that could change her life. She had never had someone in her world show such interest in her character. It was not about money, jobs, or appearances. It was about her values and her choices. For hours, they talked. Lena shared small stories of her life, the struggles she faced, the job she worked, and the lessons her parents had taught her. Daniel listened patiently, asking gentle questions, not judgmental, but curious. He could see the strength in her, the quiet courage that had guided her to return the wallet. As the conversation continued, Lena felt more comfortable. She realized that honesty, kindness, and courage were powerful tools. Even in a world that often valued wealth and status above all else. By the end of the meeting, Daniel stood and walked toward her, holding the wallet gently. "You have reminded me of something important," he said. "Sometimes the smallest acts of honesty can change lives. You have shown me that, and I am grateful." Lena smiled softly, feeling a warmth she had rarely experienced. She had expected nothing, yet she felt respected and seen. She left the office with a sense of hope and pride, knowing she had done the right thing and that her actions mattered. As she walked back to her small room, Lena thought about the day and what it had taught her. Life was difficult, and opportunities were rare, but courage and honesty could open doors she had never imagined. The city around her seemed brighter, more alive. Even in the crowded streets and bustling offices, she felt that she could make a difference. Returning a wallet had been a simple act, but it had led to a moment of connection and understanding that she would remember forever. She knew that the choices she made today would shape her future, and she felt ready to face whatever came next with integrity and hope. Lena could hardly sleep that night. Her mind kept replaying every moment of the previous day, especially the time she had spent speaking with Daniel Royce. She had expected to feel nervous or scared, but instead she felt something else, a mix of pride, hope, and curiosity. What would happen next? She could not help but wonder if this simple act of returning the wallet could really lead to any change in her life. Yet deep down, she felt that honesty had its own power, and now she was about to see it. The next morning, Lena woke early, as she always did, but this time she felt a little different. She had an important meeting with Daniel Royce. She had no idea what to expect, but she knew she had to be herself. She dressed carefully in her simple clothes, making sure they were clean and neat. It was not much, but it was the best she had. She packed her small bag and left her rented room, walking through the streets with her heart beating fast. The city seemed alive in a new way. The street sounds, the cars, the people hurrying to work, all felt like part of a bigger world she had rarely seen. When she arrived at the office, she was greeted by the receptionist, who smiled at her warmly. Lena followed her through the tall hallways, her shoes making soft echoes on the polished floors. As they approached Daniel Royce's office, she could feel her stomach twist with nerves. She had met him before, and he had seemed kind, but she could not guess what today would bring. The receptionist opened the door and gestured for her to enter. Lena took a deep breath and stepped inside. Daniel looked up as she entered, and Lena felt the same quiet intensity in his eyes as before. There was no rush or tension in the room, only calm curiosity. He motioned for her to sit. Lena lowered herself into the chair, clutching her small bag on her lap. Daniel held the wallet gently, turning it over in his hands, as if it were something more than just leather and money. Lena watched him closely, sensing that there was something personal inside it, something more than material value. Then Daniel spoke, his voice soft, almost hesitant. "I want to show you something inside this wallet," he said. Lena felt her heart quicken. She had never expected to see what he might show her. He opened a small compartment she had not noticed the day before and carefully removed a folded piece of paper. Lena leaned forward slightly, curious and cautious. It was a drawing, simple and childlike, with a figure of a man holding hands with a small child. Underneath, it said, "Daddy?" Lena felt a sudden pang of emotion. It was clear this was important, not just money or cards. Daniel's eyes grew moist as he looked at it. Lena realized she was witnessing something very private, a memory that had deep meaning for him. Daniel looked at her, his voice breaking slightly. "This was drawn by my daughter before she passed away. I thought I had lost it forever. And now, because of you, it is back in my hands." He paused, trying to collect himself. Lena felt a lump in her throat. She had never seen someone so strong in public show such vulnerability. She had known the wallet was valuable, but she had no idea it contained something so deeply personal. Her respect for him grew, and she realized that sometimes the things we think are lost forever can return in the most unexpected ways. Lena took a deep breath, her hands tightening around the edge of her bag. She had not meant to cause any emotional reaction. She had simply done what she thought was right. She said softly, "I just wanted to return it. I didn't know it was this important. I'm glad it's back with you." Daniel looked at her, and for the first time, Lena saw a mix of gratitude and something deeper, almost awe. He reached out and touched the drawing gently, as if to make sure it was real. Then he looked back at her. "You could have taken the money, the cards. No one would have blamed you. But you didn't. You returned it because you chose to do the right thing. That honesty, that integrity, is rare. Very rare." Lena felt her cheeks flush. She had never been praised like this before. Her life had been hard, and honesty had often gone unnoticed. Yet here she was, being recognized for something so simple, something that was just a part of who she was. For a few moments, they sat in silence. Lena could hear the quiet ticking of a clock on the wall. She realized that even in a room full of wealth and power, there were still moments of pure human connection. Daniel's voice broke the silence. I want to understand more about you. How you think. Why you made this choice. It may seem small to some, but to me, it is everything. Lena nodded. She felt nervous, but also honored. She shared small stories from her life, about her childhood, the struggles she had faced, and the lessons she had learned from her parents. She spoke about her work, the long hours, the little joys, and the hard days. Daniel listened carefully, asking questions gently, not judging, only understanding. He asked her about her dreams, and Lena hesitated. She had learned not to hope too much, to live with what she had. Yet she spoke about wanting a stable life, education, and a chance to make a difference, even in small ways. Daniel listened, his eyes never leaving hers. He could see the resilience and honesty in her, the quiet strength that had guided her actions. For him, this was more valuable than any business deal or financial success. Lena could feel his respect, and it made her heart swell with a strange warmth. She had never felt truly seen by someone so important. As the conversation continued, Daniel reached out again to the wallet. He carefully placed the drawing back inside and closed it gently. This wallet is more than money, he said. It carries memories, feelings, and connections that cannot be measured. You returning it showed me that some values are timeless. Honesty, kindness, and courage, they matter more than wealth. Lena felt a tear in her eye, not from sadness, but from understanding. She had always believed in these things, but hearing it from someone so powerful made her feel validated. She realized that small acts could have big effects, and that doing the right thing, even when unnoticed, could change lives. They talked for hours, and the more they spoke, the more Lena realized the depth of this moment. Daniel was not just a businessman. He was a person who had faced loss, challenges, and responsibilities far beyond hers. Yet he was willing to take the time to connect with her, to recognize her actions, and to show that integrity mattered. Lena felt a sense of hope she had not felt in a long time. Maybe life could be different. Maybe there were people who valued honesty and courage above all else. When the meeting came to an end, Daniel stood and walked toward her. He held the wallet carefully and looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and admiration. Thank you, Lena, he said softly. You have reminded me of what really matters. You have shown me that even in a world full of money and power, simple acts of honesty can touch hearts and change lives. Lena smiled shyly. She felt proud, not for herself alone, but for the moment of connection they had shared. She realized that her life, though small and difficult, had meaning. Her choices mattered, and she could make a difference in ways she had never imagined. As Lena walked out of the office, the city felt different. The streets, the cars, the people, even the sounds, all seemed alive with possibility. She understood that her actions, though simple, could ripple through the world in unexpected ways. She held her head high, feeling stronger, braver, and more certain of herself. Returning a wallet had led to a connection she could never have predicted, and it had shown her that honesty and courage were powerful forces. She knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she would face them with integrity and hope, ready to make her life and the lives of others better through simple, human acts of goodness. Lina returned to her small room, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and uncertainty. Her mind replayed the meeting with Daniel Royce, especially the moment he had shown her the drawing of his daughter. She could not stop thinking about how personal it had been, and yet how he had trusted her enough to share it. It made her feel connected in a way she had never imagined. The city outside seemed quieter now, but inside her heart, everything was louder. She felt alive, aware that something important had begun, though she did not know exactly what. The following days passed slowly, but Lena could not focus on her routine as usual. Work at the bakery felt distant, and every sound of the city reminded her of the office building where Daniel had waited to speak with her. She walked to work, baked bread, and served customers, but her thoughts drifted constantly. She wondered why he had been so kind and why he had shown her the drawing. Perhaps he saw in her what few people ever did, a sense of honesty and courage that went beyond circumstances. Then, one afternoon, as she was finishing her shift, her phone rang. Lena jumped, recognizing an unknown number. She answered carefully. The voice on the other end was calm and warm. "Hello, Lena. This is Daniel Royce. I hope I am not disturbing you. I would like to meet you again. Can you come by my office tomorrow?" Lena felt her heart beat faster. She nodded, even though he could not see her. "Yes, I can come," she said softly. After hanging up, she sat on the curb for a moment, processing the unexpected call. She felt a mix of nervousness and hope. Whatever he wanted, it could change her life, and she knew she would face it honestly. The next day, Lena dressed carefully, wearing the neatest clothes she had. She wanted to show respect without pretending to be someone she was not. Walking through the city streets, she felt the weight of possibility pressing lightly on her shoulders. When she reached the office, the receptionist greeted her warmly and led her through the familiar hallways. Every step echoed softly, and her heart beat faster as the office doors came into view. Daniel greeted her with a small smile, standing as she entered. Lena could see something different in his eyes today, a mix of thoughtfulness and something deeper, almost like concern. He gestured for her to sit. The office was quiet, and Lena noticed that he had placed the wallet carefully on the desk, as if it were a treasure. She felt nervous, unsure what to expect, but determined to remain herself. He began speaking softly. "Lena, I want to thank you again for returning the wallet. It was not just the money or the cards, it was the drawing, a memory I thought I had lost forever. But more than that, it was your honesty. In a world where people often choose convenience or gain, you chose integrity. That matters more than anything." Lena felt a warmth in her chest. She had never heard someone speak like that to her before, and it made her feel valued in a way she had rarely experienced. She smiled shyly, unsure what to say, but grateful for his words. Daniel continued, leaning slightly forward. "I have been thinking about how rare it is to meet someone like you. People often act out of self-interest, but you did not. You showed kindness without expectation. That has stayed with me since the day you returned the wallet." Lena listened carefully. She felt her heart swell with pride and humility. It was strange to hear such recognition, and yet it felt natural because he spoke sincerely. She realized that her small act, done without any thought of reward, had touched someone in a deep and meaningful way. After a pause, Daniel looked at her with seriousness. "I want to offer you something, but it is not just a reward. It is an opportunity. I want to help you, but in a way that allows you to grow and maintain your independence. You have strength, intelligence, and integrity. Those qualities are valuable, not just in life, but in any endeavor. I want to give you a chance to use them." Lena's eyes widened slightly. She had expected nothing, yet here was someone offering her a life-changing opportunity. She felt nervous and overwhelmed, but also deeply moved. She listened intently, knowing this could be a turning point. He explained that he wanted her to come work at his company, not as a simple assistant, but in a role where she could learn and develop skills that would help her achieve stability and independence. Alongside this, he offered support for her education, a chance to study while working, and a safe place to stay if needed. Lena was stunned. She had dreamed of a better life, but never imagined an opportunity like this would appear. She felt gratitude, hope, and a sense of responsibility all at once. Lena spoke carefully, trying to express her feelings. "I am grateful, sir, but I do not want to take advantage of your kindness. I will work hard, but I want to do it honestly, as myself." Daniel smiled. "I am not offering this because I expect gratitude or praise. I am offering it because I believe in you. I have seen your honesty, your courage, and your values. Those are worth more than anything else. You will have the chance to prove yourself in your own way." Lena nodded, her eyes shining. She felt the weight of the moment, realizing that this was a rare chance to change her life through integrity. Not luck or manipulation. As the conversation continued, Daniel shared more about the company and how she could fit in. He spoke about mentorship, learning opportunities, and the chance to contribute meaningfully. Lena asked questions, curious and attentive. She wanted to understand everything, not just for herself, but to ensure she could succeed. Daniel answered patiently, guiding her gently, showing that he valued not only her honesty, but also her potential. By the end of the meeting, Lena felt a mix of excitement and determination. She realized that this was more than a job offer. It was a chance to build a future with her own effort, guided by values she had always held. She thanked Daniel sincerely, promising to work hard and remain honest. He smiled, showing both pride and confidence in her, and told her that she had already demonstrated the qualities that would make her successful. As Lena left the office and stepped into the bright city streets, she felt lighter than she had in years. The world seemed wider, fuller, and more hopeful. She realized that small acts, guided by integrity, could open doors she had never imagined. Returning a wallet had led to an unexpected connection, an opportunity for growth, and the chance to change her life fundamentally. Lena walked with her head held high, her heart filled with courage, knowing that the path ahead would not always be easy, but that honesty, integrity, and determination would guide her every step. The day Lena started her new role at the company, she woke up earlier than usual, her mind buzzing with anticipation. The streets she walked through seemed familiar, yet now they held a new sense of possibility. She carried herself with quiet confidence, knowing she had been given a rare chance to build a future through her own effort. The city, with its tall buildings, busy streets, and bustling energy, felt like a stage set for change, and she was ready to step into it. As she entered the office building, the receptionist greeted her warmly. She followed the familiar path through the hallways, each step echoing lightly on the polished floors. Lena's heart raced with excitement and nervousness, but she reminded herself to stay calm. She had prepared for this moment, and she knew that her honesty and determination would guide her through. When she reached Daniel's office, he stood and smiled, welcoming her. The warmth in his eyes reassured her that she was in a place where her values mattered. Daniel handed her a folder containing details about her new responsibilities and explained the structure of the team she would be working with. Lena listened attentively, absorbing every word. She understood that this was more than just a job. It was a learning opportunity. She would gain experience, grow her skills, and gradually take on more responsibility. The thought filled her with determination. She wanted to make the most of this chance, not just for herself, but also to honor the trust Daniel had placed in her. As the days passed, Lena adapted to her new environment. She learned quickly, asking questions when she needed clarification and observing the way her colleagues worked. She noticed how organized the office was and how each person contributed to the company's success. The work was challenging, but Lena found satisfaction in learning new things and overcoming obstacles. She realized that this was a world very different from her previous life, yet it was one where her values, honesty, integrity, and hard work were respected and encouraged outside of work. Lena continued to reflect on how far she had come. She remembered the streets she had walked daily, the small bakery where she had spent hours kneading dough, and the cramped room she had called home. Everything had seemed ordinary and sometimes harsh, but her simple act of honesty had opened a door she had never imagined. She realized that courage and integrity could create opportunities that money or status alone could not provide. This understanding gave her a quiet strength, one that made her face challenges with patience and determination. One afternoon, Daniel called her into his office for a private conversation. Lena entered, feeling a mixture of curiosity and respect. Daniel gestured for her to sit and smiled. "Lena, I have been observing your work, and I am impressed. You have not only adapted quickly, but have also maintained your honesty and commitment in every task. That is rare, and it shows your true character." Lena felt a surge of pride. She had been working hard, not for recognition, but because she believed in doing her best. To hear her efforts acknowledged in this way was deeply encouraging. Daniel continued, "I would like to offer you something more. In addition to your current role, I want to involve you in special projects where you can contribute to decisions and see the impact of your work directly. This is an opportunity to learn leadership, problem solving, and strategic thinking. I believe you have the potential to excel in ways that go beyond day-to-day tasks." Lena's eyes widened. She felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. This was a chance to grow not only professionally but personally, and she understood that she needed to approach it with care, patience, and diligence. Over the following months, Lena immersed herself in her work. She took on new challenges with determination, often staying late to ensure she understood the tasks completely. She learned how to analyze situations, communicate effectively with colleagues, and propose ideas confidently. Each success, no matter how small, built her confidence and reinforced the lesson that honesty and hard work were powerful tools. Lena began to feel a sense of independence and accomplishment she had never experienced before. She was not just surviving anymore. She was thriving. Outside the office, Lena's life also began to change. She moved into a small apartment that offered comfort and safety, allowing her to focus on her work and studies. She enrolled in classes that would enhance her knowledge and skills, supported by the opportunity Daniel had provided. The simple joy of having a stable place to live and a chance to learn was transformative. She felt empowered, realizing that her choices, guided by integrity, had led to this moment. It was not luck. It was the result of courage, honesty, and determination. Lena and Daniel maintained their connection, meeting occasionally to discuss her progress and reflect on her experiences. Daniel shared insights about life, business, and decision-making, and Lena listened carefully, absorbing every lesson. Their conversations were respectful and sincere, focused on growth and understanding. Lena felt a deep sense of gratitude for the trust and guidance he offered. She realized that mentorship, when given with respect and sincerity, could shape a person's path in profound ways. As time passed, Lena's confidence grew. She began to mentor new colleagues, sharing what she had learned and encouraging them to value honesty and hard work. She saw the impact of her guidance, and it gave her a sense of fulfillment. She understood that life's challenges were not only about survival, but also about helping others and contributing positively. Lena's perspective had broadened, and she approached each day with purpose and CLA. One evening, after a long day at the office, Lena returned to her apartment and sat quietly, reflecting on her journey. She thought about the moment she had found the wallet, the decision to return it, and the chain of events that had followed. It amazed her how a simple act of honesty had led to such profound changes in her life. She realized that integrity and courage were not just moral principles, but practical forces that could shape one's destiny. Lena felt a deep sense of peace and satisfaction, knowing she had remained true to herself and that her life was moving in a meaningful direction. As Lena continued to grow and succeed, she never forgot the lesson that had started it all. That small, honest actions can have a significant impact. Returning the wallet had been more than a choice. It had been a statement of character that resonated beyond her immediate circumstances. She carried this understanding into every aspect of her life, shaping her decisions, relationships, and ambitions. Lena's journey demonstrated that integrity and courage, no matter how small or ordinary they might seem, could lead to extraordinary outcomes. In the months and years that followed, Lena flourished. She completed her education, advanced in her career, and built a life of independence and purpose. Yet she remained humble, remembering the struggles of her past and the simple act that had started it all. She continued to value honesty above all else, and her choices inspired others around her. Lena understood that true success was not measured by wealth or recognition, but by the impact of one's actions. The strength of character and the courage to do what is right. Daniel often reflected on the day Lena returned his wallet. He realized that he had gained more than just a recovered item. He had encountered a person whose honesty, courage, and integrity had reminded him of the values that truly matter. Their lives had intersected in a meaningful way, showing that even in a world dominated by wealth and power, simple human acts could change destinies. Lena's story became a living example of how integrity and kindness could create opportunities, build trust, and transform lives. In the end, Lena's journey was not just about a wallet or a chance meeting with a billionaire. It was about the power of choice, the strength of character, and the belief that doing the right thing matters. Through honesty, determination, and courage, she had not only changed her life, but also inspired others to recognize the value of integrity. Her story proved that even in challenging circumstances, one person's actions could create ripples of positive change, shaping the future in ways that were profound and lasting. Lena's life became a testament to the simple truth that when we act with honesty and courage, extraordinary possibilities unfold, and human goodness shines brighter than anything else.